Okay, welcome to another episode of the Butlerpd podcast. I am, of course, your host, Adam Butler, off the late night, working hard. I've been up watching election coverage for hours. I've been eating candy. I've been drinking green tea. I've been doing all sorts of stuff to keep myself awake. Been working on the GovExec podcast. For those of you who don't know, my full-time employment is I work for GovExec Media Group. In fact, you should check out the GovExec podcast, the GovExec Daily Podcast, hosted by my guy Ross, co-hosted by me at times, produced by me, written by Ross. Super informative show. Anyhow, I've been up working on that. Locked in on this election, listening to the Busta Rhymes album, which is fire. Check it out. No matter what happens, check out the Busta Rhymes album. I've been up just trying to occupy my time, man. I'm like many of you tonight at this point. What is it? It's 12:15 in the morning, November 4th. So this show will be a little dated. In fact, I really considered not doing the show, but I don't know, man. I thought it was necessary. Man. So I'm going to break down what I'm seeing so far. Understanding that by the time I release this show, someone could be announced president of the United States. Okay. But I'm going to break down some things, and I'm going to share my thoughts on where I think the country is, no matter what the outcome of this thing is. And hard lessons I think that I'm seeing some people on my timeline. I'm realizing that some people on my timeline learned on the night of November 3rd and this morning of November 4th. So stick with me. We'll be right back. Okay, I'm not sure this will be one of my longer episodes, all right? I do appreciate all you guys for tuning in, sticking with me. These are stressful times. Not that surprising to me, but stressful nonetheless. I do feel like some people, and for people looking at YouTube or looking at me on YouTube, please forgive me. I'm looking at the screen because, again, I have to pay attention to this stuff. And for the people, for the future, especially in an election like this, I would say if you don't have to watch this stuff as like your job, like if you're not like you don't work in news or anything. And I'm not saying that to sound, uppity or anything. I'm just, for your mental health, I don't think this is the best thing to watch. I'm just keeping it real with you because this election was always going to be different. And that brings me to my point. I think many of us wanted to see a blowout. In fact, I kept hearing that if it's not a blowout, it's going to be a problem. Trump is going to do this. Trump is going to do that. And I really stressed to anybody that would listen. And I didn't talk about it a lot on the show because I realized that there's a bit of like Trump derangement syndrome. Like people get really worked up. I don't like Donald Trump. In fact, I probably shouldn't even be saying that given my place of employment. I'm supposed to be neutral, but I don't like Donald Trump. People know that. Okay. I'm not a fan of the guy. I certainly did not vote for him. I'm looking at the screen right now, praying that somehow, some way, they'll announce that he lost, even though I know that's not going to be the case immediately. I'm not saying who's going to win or lose. I'm saying that it's going to take a couple of days for us to really know who is legally the president of the United States, the president-elect of the United States. So I know people wanted a blowout. That was never realistic to me. And I don't say this with any judgment. I just wonder how we thought that could happen with everything we've seen happen over the past year. How could we have possibly believed that this country could unify on that level when we've seen racial injustice in a country that couldn't even agree on the fact that we have a pandemic and what we should do about the pandemic? So there's hard truths, hard lessons for us liberals tonight. That there are sectors of this country that we don't pay attention to. We don't think about them, and they don't think about us. It's places like Iowa, right? Certain parts of Georgia. I'm seeing the Georgia numbers pop up right now, right? Parts of Texas, I mean, I could go on and on, right? Those places that are always red, they don't think like us. We don't agree. We don't agree. I just got off the phone with a friend of mine, and he was talking about how shocked he was that anyone could vote for a person that's as vile and incompetent as he believes President Trump to be. And I believe President Trump to be. But I on a night like this, I just sort of let him express himself without having to jump in. Again, this thing is not over. Again, by the time I release this podcast, or by the time you listen to this podcast, we could know, and the president could be reelected. But it's not about, and I've learned over the past year that it's not so much about Donald Trump and how he is as a person. It's more about ideology and where people stand and what people believe, and if you're on this team or that team. And that's the thing about liberals, right? We're different, right? We don't really rock with Team Blue, even though a lot of people spent a lot of time, especially at black folks. And I have something to say in regards to black people and voting in a minute too. It's not going to be what you think though. A lot of people wave their finger at Democrats and especially black Democrats. And all you do is vote for Democrats. You don't think about who could do the best for you. We seen Cube. We seen a lot of people, Kanye, a lot of people saying this. And Democrats don't do that. There's people on my timeline right now crying about Bernie Sanders right now. I know there's some people that didn't vote for Joe Biden because they just couldn't do it, because he wasn't the right candidate for them. That's their prerogative. I'm not here to judge. But you have to understand, at some point, you're going to have to understand and get, again, no matter what the outcome of this election is, because one thing we know is going to be the outcome is that it's going to be close no matter what. There was no opportunity for blowout for any side because the country's split. And one side is loyal on the scary level, and the other side is thinking a lot about who's right, who's wrong. That's why we can't flip North Carolina. You can't flip Georgia. You can't flip Texas right now. Not right now. They don't like that you're protesting in the streets. They don't like that. You're looting. They don't like it. They don't care if it's a virus around killing you and them. They don't care that it's not right for a cop to put his knee on the neck of a black man or bust up in a black woman's home and shoot her up and then arrest her boyfriend for trying to protect her. They don't care about that. They don't like how you're reacting to it, and they don't like how you talk about them. There was no opportunity for blowout. None. And they don't care if it's Donald Trump or Ronald Reagan or Abraham Lincoln is running their party, as long as he's dressed in red. We got a problem. Man. Again, no matter what the outcome of this election is, and it ain't over yet at all. Again, especially at the point where I'm recording this. I mean, in fact, Joe Biden's up in electoral points, even though we know that that blue wall is what it's going to come down to. And that's really what it is. So I get it. This is a strange time. If you're listening on the night of, and I'm going to try to put this out as quickly as I can. So if you're listening on the night of or the morning of the election, especially if there's no results to the election, it's high, the anxiety is high. And if, unfortunately, by the time I release this podcast and this YouTube video, Donald Trump is elected president for a second term, we're going to be very deflated. And people are going to be very scared. And even if Biden wins by the slimmest margin, which it seems like if he wins, that's how it will go, people will be afraid, because they're afraid that if he wins, Trump supporters will lose their mind and they'll just start harassing people on the street. If he loses, we'll just be deflated, and we feel like, Trump Trump supporters would just be high stepping into the end zone the whole time and just bragging and gloating and feel super empowered. That's a tough spot to be in. So I guess this is what I believe and what I think should go on and how we should react. This tells me that we have to, no matter what, as we always say, vote up and down the ballot, which I believe you did. Stay on top of the people that we have elected into office on the local level, and learn to empower ourselves the same way they empower themselves. It's the only way. You have to look out for your own right now and pray that there's some way in the future, whether it be a President Biden or President Trump, that we can unify and start to communicate with each other in spite of them, in spite of party allegiances and such. I know that sounds crazy right now. I'm not even going to lie to you and tell you I know how to get it done. I don't. Not right now, I don't. Right now, I'm just watching this, trying to record a podcast as quietly as I can because my wife is upstairs asleep. So I don't know. But what I do know is that we are deeply, deeply, deeply divided in this country. And what I want us to get past is the shock of it. Because I see you on my timeline tonight. Again, it's going to, even if Biden wins, it won't be good enough because we wanted him to win in a certain way. It's not possible right now, man. The issues are just too polarizing. People are dug in. I can go all night and explain, at least in my opinion, why I think a lot of things. And again, I think that this country's tribal. I think when it comes down to it, especially 8 years of a black man being president, I think that really shook people up in a way that we didn't expect. We looked at what the president, we had expectation of what the presidency would be. I'm talking about the Obama presidency, but we never talked about what would be the aftershock of that, right? We never talked about that. We couldn't imagine that people would be that offended by that, right? And I'm saying this because I'm sitting here looking at active, real live polling data right now. I'm looking at counties and states. Shouts to John King, this man is a trooper. He's been on television for 6 to 7 hours just playing with a map, breaking down maps and breaking down, different counties and states like Pennsylvania. Right now, he's literally clicking the map on Pennsylvania and breaking down Philadelphia. And there's a lot of votes to still be counted. We'll talk about that in a second because I do want to end this in a more positive note. But again, he's clicking on places like, Iowa and breaking down cities and counties that used to be Obama, that Obama won twice and then flipped when Hillary ran to red, just like that. Country's strange, man. Country is strange. If Joe Biden wins, he got some work to do. If Donald Trump wins, we definitely have some work to do. And even if Joe Biden wins, we still have work to do. We have work to do no matter what. That's really the lesson. We got work to do. We got some work to do no matter what. But for tonight and for the next couple of days, I think you're probably just going to have to chill out. You did what you had to do. You went out there, you voted. Black folks, you voted. You did your thing. You tried. And maybe you'll be successful. I'm remaining hopeful. Actually, I'm pretty hopeful because I know how many votes are out there that still need to be counted. So you did your thing. Don't let anyone wag their finger at you and tell you that you didn't do your part, even if Joe Biden loses and Kamala Harris loses. Don't let anyone tell you that you didn't do your part. At the end of the day, it's a numbers game. Our election process is what it is. You can't do anything about a bunch of people in Idaho and Pennsylvania and Wisconsin. You can't. What can you do? What could you have done? Okay? I'm just saying that to you. No matter what happens, don't get down on yourselves. But for the people that will listen to this right away, and I hope you do, please understand that COVID-19 changed everything. Most of us voted by mail, by drop box, or voted early. Each state operates differently. Some states had been counting their early votes for a couple of days. Other states have said, we're not going to count them until the polls close on election day. So people were tripping on Virginia earlier. Well, that's because Fairfax County hadn't counted the votes. The moment they counted the votes, Virginia turned blue. End of story. People were looking at Florida early and North Carolina early. And I believe it was Ohio early and going, oh, my God, and Texas early and going, oh, my God, Joe Biden might win all these states. And then the moment they started counting the actual day of votes, states turned red. So we're going to have to take a breath. We're going to have to cool out. We're going to have to cool out. This is going to require patience. Again, by the time I release this show, we may have an announcement. We may. I don't think so, but we may. And also, you're going to have to prepare yourself for, especially if it's a Biden win, by the narrowest of margins, lawsuits, delays, recounts, all that's going to happen. It was never going to be easy getting under the thumb of Donald Trump. Never. Even if he wins, I'll take that. It was never going to be easy. Never. And we just have to accept that. And we're going to have to be patient. And we're going to have to wait. We're going to have to see what happens. And again, if it's Donald Trump, we're going to have to live with that. I hate to. What else are you going to do? The lesson I hope we all learned is that local elections matter. Right? Judges matter. All this stuff matters. And we have to stay on top of that. And we have to learn to protect ourselves and make sure that our neighborhoods and our communities are safe and sound. If it's Joe Biden, we're going to have to stay on top of old Joe. And we're going to have to make sure that Joe ain't working by himself, because he won't be able to do it. They will obstruct it in every way. They've shown you it for 4 years. And if you didn't learn anything tonight, if you don't look at that map tonight, and I know a lot of you are upset. You shouldn't be right now because it ain't over. Okay. But a lot of y'all looking at that map tonight and you're seeing a split country, and you're seeing a country that don't agree with you on anything. And you realize you lived in a bubble where everybody thinks like you. But there's people on the other side of the country that don't care about that. They voting for totally different reasons in a whole different way. So that means we got to be stronger. A will. We have to have a stronger will. We have to be more determined. We have to be more involved. And we cannot make it easy for them to put their foot on their neck like we've done for the past 4 years. We can't do it. So take a deep breath. Listen, you don't work for it. Maybe you work for a news outlet, or maybe you cover this on your own, or maybe you're just interested. But if you don't have to do this, cut this off for the next couple of days. Win, lose, or draw, cut it off for the next couple of days. Do that. The show's about mental health for the most part, right? I like to focus on mental health. That's my mental health tip for you guys, man. That's my mental health tip. Cut it off. Take a break. Don't be like me. You see I keep looking up, right? For my YouTubers. You see I keep looking up at this because it's my job. But I'm telling you, take a break from this, okay? Take a break. Because at the end of the day, and I know it sounds corny, but at the end of the day, I promise you, we're going to be all right. I promise that. Okay, that's this episode, or this week's episode of the Butler Did It podcast. Sorry it was a shorter one. I've been promising longer episodes, but this has been a weird night. It's election night. Again, I've been working the election. I didn't want to skip a show this week, but it was very difficult for me to put together a longer one, man. And again, the disclaimer is that all this content could be dated. By the time we wake up in the morning, by the time you hear this podcast, someone could be announced president of the United States, and I'll probably have to come back and clean up and pick up on some stuff anyway. So for right now, it is what it is. Take your time, mind your mentals. You know what it is. Again, a couple of quick announcements on November 18th, right here on YouTube or on Facebook video. You can check out the What Are Those documentary. What are those? The sneaker documentary, something to take your mind off of all of the crap that's going on with politics and the stress or whatever. Why not detox right now? Again, no matter what happens, why not on November 18th? Just check out the What Are Those doc, man. The trailer's on my page. The trailer's on the Butler Did It Pro Instagram page. It's also on my personal Instagram page, MSR_Adam. It's also on my Facebook, Adam Butler. And you can follow all of those accounts, of course. Guys, also, I just want to say, listen, man, I am a big advocate of that damn Busta Rhymes album, man. I think that thing is fire, man. I'm so happy and proud when MCs, especially MCs that I grew up listening to, are still in the game and still creating dope music. And I say that because, again, right now, we're living in stressful times. It's hard to find anything that really gives joy. Most of us are abiding by the COVID protocol, so we aren't going out as much as we used to do. We can't do some of the things that we have grown accustomed to doing. Thanksgiving is coming up, the holidays are coming up, they're going to look very different. So you got to find joy in the small things, man. Check out a good movie on Netflix, you know what I'm saying? Find something dope, watch the What Are Those documentary. You probably will enjoy that one. Listen to your favorite podcast, or check out an album that's really dope. And my recommendation of a dope album, especially if you love hip-hop, if you really like hip-hop, check out that Busta Rhymes album, ELE2, Extension Level Event 2. It's fire. All right, that's the Butler recommendation of the week. I may be back later on this week again, depending on what happens with the election. But for right now, ladies and gentlemen, please mind your mentals. Please mind your mentals. Please mind your chickens. Marshawn is a prophet, okay? That means mind your mental health. Keep your money right. Love on the ones that deserve it. Keep God in your life. That's from me. And ladies and gentlemen, please continue, no matter what the outcome of this is, the one thing you can do is continue to be great. I love you. I'm going to continue to I'm going to get back to work. Hopefully I get some sleep at some point. But I'm out of here, y'all.